What is up, gamers? Happy weekend. Hope you all are having an amazing weekend. So I recently bought a refurbished PlayStation 2 earlier this week. It just got delivered towards the end of Friday, and I was so excited to play it, right? I was so excited to load up some of my old save files, play some of my favorite games for the PS1 and PS2, and I ran into a huge dilemma. So unfortunately, as I tried to load up some of my old save files from my handy dandy Sony PlayStation 2 memory card, of course, the 8 megabyte one from Magic A here, it didn't register. So like as I was loading up these games, all the previous games that I love to play, none of my save files were showing up. It wasn't actually even registering my memory card. So I was like, oh no, because obviously, part of me buying this PlayStation 2 was to be able to reminisce about all the great old games I played, and obviously the hours upon hours I put into some of these old games and saved to the save file were such a large part of that. So I was kind of left with this like dilemma of what to do. You know, I started looking up online, I started doing my research and figuring out like what I could do. So like, there were all types of different ways of trying to either reload or like reformat or even possibly clean and restructure memory cards. And then there was also too the case that you could always just buy a new one, but I didn't want to get rid of all my old save files. I wanted to be able to play them, right? So I did a lot of research and I ended up actually finding a solution that worked within 5 minutes. So my point of this video today is hopefully a quick and short one to help out anyone out there that's ever run into this issue before, where their old school PlayStation 2 memory card wouldn't work. They want a quick solution, or at least maybe a first solution, and figuring out if this is actually the problem. What worked for me was just simply unscrewing it and then cleaning the inside of it, putting it back together, waiting enough time, and just trying to load up my save files. So that ended up working for me. So I'm going to show you a very quick 3-step process for how I was able to effectively do that today. And hopefully I'll be able to help some of you out, because I wish I had this video just earlier in the day on Friday. It would have relieved a lot of stress and would have made me feel much better about it. So without further ado, I'm going to get into the video, but really quick, if you like this type of content, both about retro gaming and new gaming, and also cool stuff like this, make sure to like this video and hit the subscribe button. Also ring the bell so you can be notified of all my future videos that I'm going to drop this year. So hopefully this is helpful to you, and be sure to check out my other videos as well. So without further ado, let's get into it. All right, kicking off this process is step one. Step one is really all just about making sure you have the right supplies in order to effectively clean your PlayStation 2 Magic Gate 8 megabyte memory card, or at least in my case, that's what I have. I'm assuming this process could also be applicable to other memory cards that are either structured or formatted or even developed in the same way, but specifically this is for my PlayStation 2 memory card. So the first thing you're going to need is a set of precision screwdrivers. Specifically for this, you're going to need a Phillips head precision screwdriver. You know, these can be found anywhere from, I would say, 10 to 20 bucks, either at a hardware store, an electronics store, or even you can even buy them online as well too. I think some of these screwdrivers my wife and I actually use for our eyeglasses as well, or we have in the past. So there's a lot of different uses for them. So even, you know, beyond trying to clean your PlayStation 2 memory card, you may want to invest in this anyways, or to have around your house. They're super useful. The second thing you're going to need is isopropyl alcohol here, otherwise known as rubbing alcohol. So this is what we're going to use to effectively clean. This is going to be the solution that helps clean up the inside of your PlayStation 2 memory card. And the last thing, how do you clean it? You clean it with Q-tips. So just like as you would for cleaning out your old school Nintendo Entertainment System games, making sure that all the dust and the grime is off of them, making sure the contacts and everything else is clean. Even though it was so funny because back in the day, all of, you know, the major companies like Nintendo, Sega, you know, even Atari told you not to self-clean, but obviously that was just because they wanted to sell you products in order to have you be able to clean using their products. But these are really the three things you need. So I would say altogether, maybe the precision screwdrivers will set set you back somewhere between 10 and 20 bucks. You really just need a small Phillips head one. The rubbing alcohol is maybe like $1.99, maybe $2.99 at any drugstore. And obviously these Q-tips are like a couple bucks. So you can fix this all for a very, very reasonable price. So that's step one, just making sure you have these three things. Kicking off step number 2 is to open up the back of your PlayStation 2 memory card and then effectively clean it. So essentially, if you look at the back of the memory card, you can see here there are two, there are two screws there at the top left hand and top right hand corner. You're going to use your precision and fine Phillips head screwdriver that I mentioned before, and you're just going to simply unscrew these two screws right here, and then we'll get into the back end of step 2 soon. Right after you've unscrewed the two screws on the back of your PlayStation 2 memory card, you can see that you'll have effectively the screws out there. The next thing to do, and this is kind of, you want to be careful here, is you're going to slide the back of it downwards. You kind of have to like get a little wiggle room. So it kind of helps if you pull it outwards a little bit and then slide it down so you can get a little bit of leverage. And then you're going to effectively open it up. So you can see what it looks like on the inside. So one part of it is just the shell casing, and the other part is everything that's used, or on this hand, it's everything that's used to actually load up all your save files. And you can see how that is structured right there. And the only areas that you really want to clean are these top areas up here. So I'm not going to touch them with my fingers because I don't want to get them dirty, but you can see right here just these contacts really that are going to be used in order to make sure that your memory card effectively gets registered when you load up any game that you have a save file for, and that you're able to effectively use your save files. So I'm going to show you now how to really quickly clean them. So once you've opened up the back of your PlayStation 2 memory card, you can see it again once here. You can see all the electronics and the wiring that goes into helping you load your favorite games. Essentially what you want to do is you want to separate the inside from the actual shell casing like so. Be very careful because this is a 20-year-old memory card after all. So you can see it there, what it looks like. And essentially you just want to clean very carefully these the electronics directly above here that makes contact with the inside of your memory card slots. So taking your handy dandy Q-tip that you had before that you bought from the garage store, dip it slightly in isopropyl alcohol. You don't need to douse it, but just enough so that you have some on there. And essentially you're going to want to clean these top areas right here. So you want to be gentle enough not to like scratch it or to like get any of the other areas too sopping wet with rubbing alcohol. But at the same time too, you want to clean it aggressively enough to get off any dirt, abrasion, dust, or anything like that. Clean the outside of it too, because I'm just a little bit meticulous like that to make sure that when you put it in, it's going to be a clean contact and hopefully it'll load right up. I've actually already done this to this memory card, but I'm just showing you how I went about it because a little bit of extra clean won't hurt it. There's also other ways of doing it as well. Like I've heard of people, instead of using Q-tips and rubbing alcohol, you can also use the back of a mechanical pencil or use an eraser as well to clean off some of the dirt and grime. I know some people like to do that and like to avoid the isopropyl alcohol altogether. So essentially when you have it, it's going to be shiny. It's going to be looking like it's almost brand new, right? And then essentially you're just going to let it dry for about maybe like 5 minutes. It'll dry very quickly. And then you can essentially put it back together and then test it and see if it works. So that was the entirety of step 2. Only one step left to do, and that's the fun step. All right, for step 3, this is the fun step. You get to take your now clean memory card and put it back together. So essentially, very similar to what you did before. You're gonna have the one side of it, obviously, that has the memory card on it in the exact same position it was before, but now bright and shiny and clean of abrasion or dust. You're gonna connect it to the other side like this, kind of how you did before, where you're gonna have to slide it up. Put a little bit of muscle behind it and then slide it right into place. And then you're just going to simply screw in the 2 screws you had before. All right. And then for the final part of step 3, we're actually going to test it out. So this is going to be the fun part. And here's my favorite part of the whole process, being able to test it. So essentially you're going to want to turn on your PS2. Whether you have your old PS2 or a nice new refurbished one like I have, because my old one broke. Stick in your memory card as so to, I usually just do it into the memory slot 1, but you could do memory slot 1 or 2. Turn on your game system, check it out, and then eventually when you load the game, see if it works. See if all your old save files are accessible now and can be used in your favorite games. As a burden of proof and to make sure that this actually did work, I loaded up my save files from one of my favorite ridiculous fighting games from the mid-2000s, which was Def Jam Fight for New York, and my old character file that I saved almost 20 years ago, back when I was in college, which was so much fun to reminisce about. Trust me, with some of my friends that like I played this game with heavily, loaded right up. So this process worked for me. Now, there may very well be other reasons why your memory card isn't working other than just needing to clean it. Luckily for me, it was just needing to clean it. If there are other things that are wrong with it, I'm sure there are other videos out there probably on YouTube that can help you out with that. But I'm assuming if this was the problem for my memory card that was almost 20 years old, it might be the first problem or first thing you want to look into before having to go into more extreme measures to either fix your memory card or to have to buy a whole new one. So all in all, if this was helpful for you today, or at least a little bit entertaining, make sure to like this video, subscribe to my channel, get alerted of new videos by ringing that bell, and just remember, damn, it feels good to be a gamer. All right, have a great rest of your weekend and happy playing your PlayStation 2 games.